Hey, Odysseia, can you do me a solid?
Yes, Captain.
I need the textbook definition of the word representation.
Definition found. Would you like me to read it to you, or did you want to read it yourself?
Why are you Googling representation? Aren't you, super smart or something?
The ignorance of artificial intelligence. 1, it's never a bad thing to doubt one's own knowledge for the sake of being correct and possibly learning more. And 2, I'm working on something.
So are you stupid or bored?
Nigga, I just said I'm working on something, so neither of those apply.
Well, what you said was stupid, and you must be bored to be talking all these extra steps when you know what you have to say is probably right, so...
Representation is defined as the action of speaking or acting on behalf of someone or the state of being so represented.
Girl, break that down into nigga speak.
What my mild-mannered assistant means to say is, what does that mean in layman's terms?
Who the hell is layman?
It means giving the stage or focus to any one person, group, race, or individual of certain belief, status, sex, and so on.
So basically it means you get seen. No matter who you are and what you are, you get seen. Makes enough sense. Where's the part where people online get pissy?
Not too far off, my friend. Not too far off at all. Today we're going to take a deeper look at what representation is, how it can be a force of good, and how many trolls and keyboard warriors twist its meaning and purpose to fuel their ignorant takes.
Yeah. And afterwards we'll show the viewers how they can track IP addresses to racist basement dwellers in the comment section so that they
Start the intro.
Running intro sequence.
One of the singular greatest things about humanity is our ability to move forward and progress, not just as singular beings, but as whole societies and nations.
Yeah, humanity also has the ability to make all progress look fucking pointless in the grand scheme of things.
Take, for instance, today's subject matter regarding representation.
An excellent example.
Of course, I mean this in a less pessimistic lens. Now, while most people would assume that they know what representation is, why it matters, and how to spot most opportunities to do such in a positive light...
Spoiler alert, humanity fucking does not.
So, let's discuss. In concurrent media, the conversation regarding representation is a tricky one. Speaking from my own experience as a viewer of many things anime, comic, and movie related, I do err to the side of representation still needing to be at the forefront of most, if not all, artistic ventures with massive audiences and fan bases. But while I do feel that way, I also think that not all attempts at representation are good ones, or basically are in vain somewhat. I'd even go so far to say is hyper-focusing on trying to be inclusive could, in some cases, be causing more discourse than course correction with said inclusion.
So what you're saying is you're gonna fence ride this whole discussion?
Not at all.
That's exactly what he's saying.
I'll go get the saddle.
I'm simply saying I can see both sides of the issue making sense in their own regards.
Pussy! What Titan means to say is, why don't you elaborate on what those sides may be, Captain?
Well, what seems to be perpetuated are the full-on representation over everything, folks, versus the just make what you're gonna make and not be woke about it, folks.
Understanding either of those sides sounds like choosing between having half a brain or a whole shit turd rolling around in your skull.
You humans do know life doesn't have to have extremes, right? But what do I know? I just work here.
Let's first talk about the glaring diversity issue in pop culture and the approaches towards it from both sides. That'll give us a good point of origin. Whether it's anime, comics, or gaming, you're gonna find that if it ain't white and it ain't presentably light, it ain't treated right.
For the sake of time and my own attention span, Spider and I have gathered up examples of diversity issues honing in on the comic book genre. One, because we've already had episodes on gaming and anime already.
Which you should definitely go watch if you haven't.
Links located at the corner of the screen.
And 2, because comic books are one of the oldest forms of pop culture entertainment on the planet.
To zero in even more, we're going to be looking at instances from the one and only Marvel Comics.
Yeah, because DC is beating the shit out of themselves daily at this point.
Our first example comes in the form of a metric that proves just how non-inclusive the mighty Marvel Universe can be, even spanning damn near 70 years.
We decided to take a close look at the Avengers, Earth's mightiest heroes, and see just what they're made of, roster-wise anyways.
From its inception in 1963 to the current run here in 2024, we've dissected each and every roster up until this point for an overview of the metrics. And although what we found isn't surprising, it still sucks to put into actual calculations.
With over 15 incarnations of Earth's champions, we found that 133 members under the banner were white, while a whopping 13 were black, African, or African American. Keep in mind, we also did not count returning members twice, nor did we include Asian, Pacific Islander, or non-human Avengers in our research. Although I feel like those numbers would be even lower.
And although we said we're going to leave DC and the Justice League or the Justice Society out of this, I don't think you have to skim the pages of those books to find the same problem. They're whiter than a damn loaf of Wonder Bread.
But because I'm a messy bitch who likes drama, here's a quick overview of those numbers. Odysseus?
See, the original Teen Titans had just 2 black members in 1970, and the JLA, well, they had none in their first incarnation of the team, and the JSA had 1. I don't think I need to go on.
With this in mind, and a big jump in the decades, inclusivity has somewhat been the #1 thing at the forefront of recent comic book releases and live-action renditions.
And while this video is about the importance of representation, we would be remiss to not talk about the other side of being seen, and that's the quality and the tone of the work giving said perception.
To put it short, while people want to be included, that doesn't mean that inclusivity has to be the main focus from the jump. Stories and adaptations have to have another very crucial element in tow, like good writing, creative approaches to source material, a good plot, chemistry between characters.
Some damn decent CGI, a timeline and universe that makes sense, some care for characters and their backstories, respect to the designs and the costumes you refuse to use.
You good?
Keep talking.
Going back to Marvel for this one, being represented is sometimes the main focus and still done in the most tone-deaf manner possible, thus negating anything else we said a story would need. Take for example the time Marvel thought it would be a good idea to put Miles Morales at the forefront of the what-if stories.
Holy fucking shit, these comics made my head hurt.
Isn't Miles Morales like the forefront of Marvel's whole inclusion approach?
If you're uninitiated, Miles Morales is the Spider-Man hailing from Brooklyn, New York on Earth 1610, or the Ultimate Universe for short. He's the first black and Puerto Rican web-slinger and carried the mantle after the death of that universe's Peter Parker by the hands of the Green Goblin. Anyways, Miles is a big deal. Dude stepped up in the shoes of Spider-Man, developed powers Peter didn't have, and created a name for himself, all while making waves and inspiring other black and Latino heroes. So, why on God's green earth would you take a guy who just established his place in current pop culture and shove him into several stories where you try to say, what if he was just the black version of so-and-so?
Because money and checking off the moral box of representation. I see.
Assignment failed incredibly, and what makes this bad enough to call out? Issue number 4 of this What If series. In the What If story, readers are transported to Asgard with Miles Morales, who is the god of thunder and not the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Jeez, whiplash much?
While this could potentially make way for a somewhat interesting storyline and be mildly entertaining, it instead goes the route of harmful stereotypes, cookie-cutter blaxploitation-like dialogue, things like graffiti on his hammer or him calling his home his hood.
If I could roll into a ball and die of embarrassment, I fucking would. And I'm not even sure if I'm technically black.
You're black.
Oh, cool.
Am I?
Debatable. The writer, Yehudi Mercado, claims to not have intended any harm in making the story.
Oh yeah, sure. Sorry I made a black character talk like they were from the next Foxy Brown in 2022. Common error.
But when I say a lot of black people were pissed, I mean a lot. Most readers and fans of Miles didn't understand why Marvel wouldn't just have a black writer give a more authentic tale to tell. They've done it with Black Lightning and Bumblebee over at DC, and Marvel did it recently with Black Panther and Blue Marvel. Not to mention, readers were already getting a bit tired of seeing Miles getting reused over and over when writers needed a token black character to insert in the story so they could check off said box.
He's this generation's Batman, only it's to check off the inclusivity box and not the smart asshole with plot armor box.
This, along with what just felt like someone saying, what if Thor was ghetto, is what turned a lot of folks off from the story and shows that representation, while meaning well, can come off completely tone deaf and more harmful than helpful.
I'm gonna go peel out my visor with a rusty crowbar now, cause what in the blue fuck?
It's like if Dr. Seuss did a script for Black Dynamite or Undercover Brother. Those things, they just don't mix, man. But I do urge our viewers to read it and give their own takes. It just has to be experienced.
You experience a roller coaster. You experience eating a spicy dish. This isn't an experience. It's a cruel and unusual punishment.
Yeah, I wish you said. Now, there are those that would argue that black people can never be satisfied with anything and would double down on such a stance because the black community doesn't jump for joy with what they're given. We even found instances of people who really had the audacity to not only praise that what-if comic, but shame other black creatives for not giving it grace and showing love for the chance to be seen, regardless of the quality.
And they shouldn't be allowed to procreate. I gotta rant for a second.
Loading up the comment section shielding. Everyone pray.
Representing everyone on an equal playing field and giving fair amounts of exposure to the unique and beautiful people of this planet should be a given, not a goddamn treat or reward. Granted, I'm not expecting every single Hollywood blockbuster or Netflix original to give the spotlight to every single type of person, but the way the media chooses who dominates the market and who's rarely ever seen isn't right one bit.
I've seen a lot of low-budget films done by blacks, Asians, and Hispanics littered throughout Tubi and Plex. I'm just saying.
No amount of keyboard warriors or angry fanboys can make me believe otherwise, to my point. The literal fact of the matter is that groups of people are either harshly represented, misrepresented, or not even given a thought at all, and it's disgusting, childish, and downright fucking dumb. And although I can only give our viewers perspective through my disproportionate black lens, what I'm saying isn't any different from what others feel in their cultures and races.
It's not like people can say seeing more inclusion or representation on stages or in the media isn't going to be profitable. But of course, they do, because they probably drink mercury and lick rust. You can literally check the numbers, dude.
Getting to the numbers in the case of the stage, the Broadway hit Hamilton was created by Lin-Manuel Miranda and broke records instantaneously by bringing home 16 Tony nominations and winning 11. The cast in almost all interpretations is made up of blacks, Hispanics, and many more, as well as having its music based heavily in soul, hip-hop, and jazz.
In film, the movie Black Panther redefined the Marvel genre with a star-studded black cast. There were African inspirations in both costume design and locale, and like two white people that kinda helped the plot move without being the dreaded white saviors. Even more recently, movies like Everything Everywhere All at Once, Shang-Chi, and Parasite unequivocally dominated the box offices with casts made up of Asian actresses and actors in lead roles telling their own stories without that white lens.
Hell, even more recently, people absolutely ate up Moon Knight and Miss Marvel.
People were ecstatic at the release of the Little Mermaid trailer, and the community is fighting back the nonsensical naysayers of Ariel's blackness by pointing out the fact that it's fucking fantasy, and blacks can be there too.
We could also note Mahershala Ali, who will be playing Blade, the legendary Lance Reddick, who played Zeus in Percy Jackson series before his passing, Pedro Pascal being casted as Reed Richards and previously playing as Joel in The Last of Us, and the new Wicked film starring Cynthia Erivo.
Now, while each and every one of those examples might have had or could have their hiccups and hurdles in execution, they didn't stray away from giving the spotlight to someone else for a change, and that's what we're trying to illustrate with these talking points.
We all want to be seen and heard, and to have that chance is a big deal. Not just for us initially, but for the next generation looking for someone that looks like them or speaks like them so that they don't feel alone or unseen or like they shouldn't exist.
This goes well beyond the black community, of course. Asians, Hispanics, Pacific Islanders, or outside of race, the LGBTQIA+, and so on, are all in need of the same respect and proper inclusion with quality stories and execution.
Everything we make in pop culture is a representation of ourselves and our society.
We should aim to grow with time and show each and every person within a spotlight in a healthy and complete manner, rather than only showing what we have been taught is the pinnacle of things like skin tone, hair texture, sexuality, and identity.
Damn, man, that was profound.
Aw, he does care.
Yep, that's all the positivity I got in me. Gotta go back to being an asshole before I get sick.
No good things last forever, I suppose.
I've got some cleaning to do on the hull if you want to drive the ship through some debris or something.
You know what? I'm down. But we gotta close out the show first.
What the hell was that?
Scanning.
Do you think it was a...
Nigga, she's scanning. Shush.
The lower hull shields are split clean open. Blood force from what the ship's telling me. I can't get a read on thermal, and it's like something took out the sensors manually. Cut clean through the wiring and framework.
Odysseus, switch it over to the sound diodes and crank the volume. Whatever's hit us, it didn't go flying off and it's still here.
Gotta read on the ship's underbelly. Whatever it is, it's moving fucking fast, and it's trying to get in.
Okay, I'm sending out an SOS to any nearby freighters and mercs on a private channel. I can't risk the UP hearing it. Activate those diodes and start up the shielding process.
Patching into rear blast door pairing. Stand by.